A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to people who have joined this webinar from all over the world. I welcome you to the webinar Wednesday series by Sales and Profit. Sales and Profit is our organization's name. My name is Yash Agarwal, and I am the Deputy Manager for Business Development, and I'll be your host for today's session. I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out to attend this webinar. A lot of you have attended our previous webinars, and I also see that we have many new participants attending our webinar for the first time. Before I introduce the speaker for today, I would like to give a brief about what Sales and Profit is. We are a B2B sales performance improvement company, and we help organizations improve their key sales metrics. We help our clients improve their sales performance through our sales focused services from the suspect to the order journey stage. Talking about the first service, sales enablement. We enable sales teams on the KPIs with customized training programs, which consist of our own methodologies and frameworks to help upskill them. Talking about the second service, it is called Sales Talent Search. We specialize in sales hiring for tech and telecom organizations from the mid to senior level positions. We help you fulfill your urgent sales positions with better sales talent and also with faster timelines. The third one being sales consulting. As we are a sales focused organization, right? We help you diagnose and solve your current sales challenges while trying to build a strong sales process that would lead to improving your sales metrics. I would also like to share why we started something called the Webinar Wednesday series. As an organization, we believe sharing knowledge with the sales community is always the right way to moving ahead. And we want us fellow sales professionals to learn and grow together. I would like to announce that our next webinar would be in April. And the topic that we would be covering is how to make a compelling elevator pitch based on the buying persona. Please follow us on LinkedIn and get updates on the upcoming webinar. Before we start this webinar, I would like to share a few house rules. This session is recorded, and we will also be streaming this session on our LinkedIn page. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, and we will all be on mute during the entire session, except for the Q&A. Right? Feel free to use the chat box to shoot your questions, and we will try to answer as many questions as possible. While leaving the webinar, you'll get a short feedback survey as well. I request that you participate, and because your feedback would be helpful for our upcoming webinars, and we will understand how we can improve. Without any further delay, I would like to introduce our speaker, Mr. Vasudev Murthy. He is a management consultant and a leadership coach. He has worked with Deloitte, Wipro Consulting, and NEC. He has ample experience in Revenue Storm, Research and Systems, and Miller Heiman sales processes. He is also presently the chair of the India chapter of APMP India. He has taught at IIMB as a visiting professor of management consulting between 1997 and 2014. He currently teaches business communication and change management at the Institute of Product Leadership. Vasudev has also written several books, and his latest book being Yoga Sutras Simplified, which was published on November 2022. So without taking much time, I would request Vasudev to take it forward and teach us something exciting and new today. Over to you, Vasudev.
Thank you very much, Yash. I appreciate the introduction and welcome everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly. So for the next hour or so, I will take you through ChatGPT and my impressions about how it's going to make a huge difference to the sales community, the sales activities of various kinds. So bear with me. I'm sure you have a lot of questions along the way. Feel free to enter all the questions on the platforms available to you, whether it's LinkedIn or even chat here. Towards the end, I will attempt to answer a few questions, as many as I can, and we'll take it from there. Next slide, please. So let me start by first of all asking you this rather loaded question. Are you worried about the impact of ChatGPT on the sales function? So I believe there's a poll that will come out. Go ahead, please, Murtaza. Just checking. Okay. Okay, a couple of minutes more, or maybe a minute more, half a minute more. Okay, are we done with the poll? Murtaza?
Yeah, so everyone can participate in the poll if you are able to see.
Okay, some folks are not able to put in their options for some reason, but nevertheless. Okay, so there we are. And those are the results at the moment. Yeah. So some of you are, some of you don't feel, it's something to be worried about. And some haven't made up their mind, which is just fine. So that's good. Let's take a look. And I'm going to assume I will talk about certain basics. So we can close this window, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. All right. So shall I proceed, Murtaza? Just checking.
Yes.
Yeah. So this will be my approximate the flow of today's presentation. Yeah. I think it's important to talk very briefly about AI. A lot of us have a very vague idea of what that is, and maybe some of you already know about it. But let me take the lowest common denominator in the sense that perhaps some of you don't know. It's important to have a very basic idea. Let's talk about the evolution of ChatGPT. And then let's talk about the competitors for ChatGPT, because it's not the only game in town, so to say. And then in order to make the point that I feel needs to be made, we will actually work with ChatGPT during this webinar, all right? And let's then do some crystal ball gazing about what it means for sales functions. Please remember, these are early days. It's about three months or so since ChatGPT actually came out. Things are very fluid. So obviously we can't exactly say what the future holds, but we have a certain fairly, shall we say, systematic view about it, about what's likely to happen. Next, please. So let's talk about the evolution of ChatGPT. Please go ahead. I want to say that AI as an artificial intelligence is actually not something that new. It goes back a good 40, 50 years. When I was doing my master's in computer science, in the US in the 80s, AI. In fact, AI was my topic. But then afterwards, it kind of died down in the 90s and subsequently. But it has come back again. So AI is known. AI has been talked about, and people have strong opinions one way or the other way. But it's come to a situation now where things are getting, quite, I even say, intrusive. So let's talk about 2018. We had GPT was released by OpenAI, and some of you may know that Elon Musk also had invested in OpenAI initially, right? And at that point, it had in the 2018 version, it had some elements of common sense. It would understand what you were trying to say. It would interpret, what you were hinting at. So there's an example here. I misplaced my book, so ChatGPT would understand what it meant. Then at that time, it had 117 million parameters. I'll come to parameters in just a moment. GPT-2 then in 2019 had 1.5 billion parameters. Now, to understand these things, you have to see that there are two types of parameters, and meta parameters and other parameters are those that keep updating their values as they learn more and more. That's a learning system. That's what we're talking about. So the more nodes you have that will keep learning, the more intelligent the system becomes. So GPT-2 had 1.5, GPT-3 had 175, right? And at that time, they were able to actually generate websites, blogs, and so on. Moving ahead, after 2020, go ahead, please. So in 2020, 30th November, very specifically, they had the chat interface with GPT. That's exactly what it is. It took a lot of conversational data, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. In GPT-4, which will be coming along perhaps later this year, you will find that it will actually be even more, shall we say, interactive, or the kinds of results it will give will be richer. One important thing to point out is that ChatGPT at the moment, or GPT in particular, currently works on data up till 2021. So it doesn't have data for 2022, and it certainly does not have data in real time. So that's a very important thing to keep in mind. So therefore, it follows that GPT-4 and other kinds of AI tools or chatbots or whatever will start using current data. Like, for example, that Google looks at current data, but ChatGPT does not. It looks at only up till 2021. But that's okay. Things are getting complicated and interesting very soon. So in GPT-4, when you ask GPT-4 a question through ChatGPT, we talk about GPT-4 or 3 or 2 being the back-end engine, so to say, whereas the chat is the interface that interacts with this particular engine. So then we expect in ChatGPT, in GPT-4, it will start giving you results in terms of images, videos, and so on, which incidentally you can already do right now, as we will show you. But GPT-4, in our opinion, will be much more complicated and interesting. Next, please. Once again, I invite you to keep sending in your questions as we move along. If you have any difficulty with my speech, my speed, I tend to speak fast. You're welcome to inform, my friends, and they will let me know through WhatsApp right here, which I have side by side with me. Okay, all right. So there are some competitors, we can't ignore them. If some of you have heard about what happened to Google's, Bard. It was a fiasco in the sense that the event that took place was wiped out a huge amount of the worth of Google, because for some reason it didn't go well. But I think that was a one-off. Things will certainly recover. We have something coming from Meta. We have something. We have a democratic ChatGPT that's also coming along. So you can expect a lot of stuff. Even from China, we are expecting a whole lot of new AI tools. So basically, let's all be aware, whether we like AI, whether we have strong views, we think, it doesn't make any difference. Human beings are so superior. We are so wonderful. We may pat ourselves on the back, but this stuff is not going to go away. It's going to get more and more interesting, challenging, sophisticated. So the best thing to do is learn it, embrace it, and get smart about it. Next, please. So this very, very, bland looking screen is what ChatGPT looks like. If you look at the bar, it says, a chat.openai.com. So those of you who do not have it yet, or who have been, for some reason, not be able to understand what to do about it, this particular screen tells you how to go about it. So when you access it the first time, it'll ask you to register. I would recommend that you do so. Okay. All right. So we have, please take a look. It's very, very bland. There's no sophisticated color. This actually reminds me of the, the Yahoo bar that used to be very popular a long time ago. It had nothing, just ask questions directly. So similarly, you can see you have examples. You can see the way questions are framed on the left column. I'm just going to read out a couple. Explain quantum computing, got any creative ideas? So essentially, you can converse with it like a friend. Feedback, somebody wants me to slow down a little bit. I do have a tendency to speak very fast. I'm so sorry about that. I will slow down. Okay. Second column in this place is showing, it says it remembers what users have said. So, for example, if I'm having a conversation with any of you, there will be a context and then there will be a back and forth over a period of time. So the context is clear to both the participants in the conversation. This is something which is important, because when you start something with ChatGPT, it will remember the context of that thread. If you take a look at the left-hand side, in the dark, kind of a column, you can see that those are a whole bunch of threads that we have actually used in the past. The interesting stuff, including ChatGPT impact on sales. So, there were a whole lot of threads that you can see. So you can go back to the thread and continue that conversation, which I think is a very interesting and nice thing to do. You can have conversation, you can correct ChatGPT, right? And it has also been trained to decline, inappropriate requests. It could be about religion. It could be, for example, yesterday, just for the heck of it, I said, write a tough email letter, or rather a rude email letter. I just said, what will happen? And it refused. It didn't agree. So it has these things. You can call it a limitation or you can call it a feature. I leave it to you. So it has that ability to determine, what the tone of the question is, and it answers, appropriately. So this is a very interesting capability, right? As I said, on the right-hand side, at this moment, it has limitations, and I think we will always find limitations. We'll always find some gaps. Okay, for example, it may give incorrect information, it may give wrong information. Okay, and like I said, it has limited information of what has happened after 2021. So this, in my opinion, is a tool to help you prepare and get used to the world in the next, what's going to happen in the next several months. So use it, but be aware that it will have some, some shortcomings because of where it's coming from. But things will get better as I will tell you about in a moment. Please continue. Okay, now the real question for today is this, and I've divided it up into two parts. One is the impact of this on the sales process. That will be a fairly long part of today, and then I'll take a shorter, briefer look at sales roles. What does it mean as far as sales roles are concerned? Okay, remember, of course, that this is our best case or our judgment based on our experience and knowledge of technology and sales. The future may be a bit different, we can't say, but let's find out, let's talk about it. And I welcome debate, I welcome your questions, you're welcome to challenges also, but this is what we feel will happen. Next, please. Yeah, so what I've done is for today, I've just used a very normal kind of, shall we say, example of the sales cycle. Okay, and I'm just taking you through it. For example, prospecting, making contact, qualifying, yeah, nurturing or keeping a prospect warm, right? Present your offer, make the proposal, or say, this is what we can do for you, and overcome objections and close the sale. So I've just taken this as a fairly representative example of the sales cycle. You may differ, you may have your own terminology, you may feel something, you may use different words, but I think it is accurate to say that the words may be different, but this is typically how the sales cycle works. So I'm going to be using this in my presentation going forward. In brief, if you look at the left as an executive summary of what we are saying, we will see that ChatGPT can have a significant impact on sales function by automating repetitive tasks. Okay, providing personalized, this is very important, providing personalized and timely responses to customers and offering insights and recommendations based on data analysis. Even though that doesn't seem like a big statement, but it actually is, as I will show you, right? So this is what it can do for you, and it can do it for you very, very quickly. Now you can you can use it to generate email responses. You can use it to answer frequently asked questions and assist with lead generation and qualification. Now, again, you might think it's not a very big deal, but this is something you might feel that only human beings should do. Okay, but nevertheless, as you will see, as you start becoming more adept and becoming smarter at using ChatGPT, most of these things can be done really, really well. And I don't think we should be scared about it in that sense. We should be scared if we don't want to use something like ChatGPT. What I want to say is ChatGPT, yes, that's the title of this talk. But overall, we're talking about ChatGPT and similar kinds of tools which will proliferate, quite a few AI-based tools will come up. So I would generally recommend, as a quick suggestion, that embrace this, because otherwise you'll be eaten up. Fine. Then you can integrate it with your, sorry, let's go back for 1 second. You can integrate it with, your own CRM tools and so on and so forth. There are many, many possibilities. We're even talking about GPT tools, being embedded in your organization, on the knowledge which is specific to your organization. That will be an interesting, twist to this. Next, please. Yeah, so let's use it now. Okay, simple examples, and we're going to take you through these seven steps. Okay, which I hope most of you agree are reasonable to begin. Some of you may find greater complexity. That's okay. We will take them step by step. In one or two cases, we'll go into one level deeper and see what will happen. So let's start now with prospecting. Okay, so this is the case. I am going to actually ask ChatGPT to be a sales expert or a sales consultant and help me in identifying potential tenants for my new luxury mall near high-tech city in Hyderabad. So possibly I am someone with a lot of money. Please go back 1 second. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened here. Yeah, and I have decided I want to create a new luxury mall near high-tech city. Some of you are familiar with Hyderabad. It's in Hyderabad. And I want to find out how to identify potential tenants. Okay. Now I've used the real estate example. I thought it's probably general enough rather than using IT or in pharma. But I think the idea here is to convey what we are trying to do. Once again, please give me feedback if I'm speaking too slowly, too fast. I am making a conscious effort to speak slowly. I hope it's working. Right. Next, please. Yeah, please change screen to presentation mode. You have a question, please? Yeah. Murtaza, please change this to presentation mode. I think you're copying it to ChatGPT. He's taking this question now and he'll be feeding this to ChatGPT. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay. We're waiting for you to switch, please. There we go. So take a look. Okay, he's already fed it into the ChatGPT window and taken that question and put it there, and it gave all these responses. And I won't read out the whole thing because it's quite a lot of stuff, but I will read out 2 or 3 of you to make you understand what it's capable of. Conduct market research, identify targeted businesses, attend trade shows, leverage social media, offer incentives, build relationships. Okay, and what else? So by doing all this, you will be able to identify potential, tenants. Now, you might say, what's the big deal? But the point is, essentially, maybe this is something a marketing professional might immediately say, this is typically what we do. Yes, but now ChatGPT is telling me, okay, I happen to be this very, very rich guy who's starting up this luxury mall. I don't know anything about this. So I'm starting from scratch. So it's telling me, Mr. Murthy, when you start your luxury, mall, please do these things. And maybe some of these things are new to me. This is interesting stuff. Maybe I really don't know these things. Next, please. Let's go back to the slides. So this is the first question I asked as to how will I go ahead and do these things? Yes, we're waiting for you to switch, sir. Okay, we're having some, okay, there we go. So this was the first prospecting question. Okay, next slide. Now, okay, so I said, okay, wow, is that so? So I need to do these 5 or 6 things. So now I'm continuing my thread. So the next level of asking questions is, based on this information that you, ChatGPT, have given me, create a tenant persona that outlines the ideal tenant for my mall. Because that's important, right? I need to have really, solid brands with a lot of money, etc. So now that I have that information, I'm going to copy this and then put it into the ChatGPT thread. So let's see what we come back with. So right now it's being copied and it will now be presented to ChatGPT for an answer. Here we go. Okay. There's a question. You can see the answer coming up in real time. Please read it. I'm sure you don't mind it. It's fairly detailed. It'll tell you a lot of stuff. Target upper middle class to upper class individuals, tech savvy, high disposable income, well-established brands. Okay, here we go. So this is pretty detailed. Lease requirements has also been put in by them. I didn't ask about lease requirements, but they said it, right? Another ChatGPT said. So all I said was, who are the ideal tenants and what should I do? So this is what it came up with. So if they're able to fulfill these things, and as far as I'm concerned, they are an ideal tenant. So now I'm getting wiser, right? Previously, I had no idea. All I was this rich guy. But now I'm getting an idea of this is what I need to do to set up, a luxury mall in high-tech city in Hyderabad. Next, please. Okay. So since we now have this, I now know that I have a profile. How do I make contact with this demographic is the question. Do I just sit in my office and hope for the best? No, I need to find out. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT now to do this. Over to you, ChatGPT. Here we go. So it's saying, okay, now that I have this profile, I want to know what should I do about it? How do I contact these guys? I don't know, have no clue whatsoever. I'm quite kind of, clueless, frankly. So this is what it's saying. It's saying you need to think about professional networks, online marketing, direct mail, referrals. What else? Trade shows, exhibitions. Okay, so here we go. By using a combination of these methods, you can do all these kinds of things. Now, maybe I don't like this response. For some reason, I feel, okay, but is there some other possibilities? So you notice over there, there's a little button which says regenerate response. So that's an interesting thing. When you do regenerate, it will give you approximately the same thing, but not the same thing. It may want something. So let's try. Please hit regenerate. Here we go. Let's see if it comes up with something different or better, which suits me. Again, attend trade shows and exhibitions. I need to do this. I need to invest because this is my mall, right? Leverage social media. There we go. Okay, which I think was missing in the previous one, though it talked about online advertising, but it didn't talk about social media specifically. Network with business associations. Incidentally, most of us attending this webinar have done all this. It's not that we don't know this, but maybe some of us don't. And what about, so all of us have not been in the same line of business. So for some of us, it may be new. It may be something we haven't done before. So I look at these 5 or 6 options given by ChatGPT, and I say, okay, this is very, very interesting. Now you say leverage social media. What do you mean? What exactly should I be doing? So let me go and ask ChatGPT, how exactly should I leverage social media? Let's find out. Yes, sir. There we go. Next slide. Here we go. This is even more specific. Give examples of content that I could use in digital marketing. And I've even specified for what? For Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, all separate with an illustrative sample for each. This is the level of detail that I can actually ask. Will ChatGPT be able to give me something interesting? Let's find out. So I put that question in. I mean, I'm sure all of you are aware that they have different kinds of content, so I don't have to tell you that. But I need to know, what should I put on Instagram versus what should I put on LinkedIn? And I want an example because I want to control this. I'm very excited now. I want to manage all this myself. I don't want to have a large set of people reporting to me doing different parts of this. And that's a hint of what can happen. Here we go. Take a look at Facebook. And it even tells you what the image could be and what the copy could be. Step into a world of luxury and style and so on and so forth. Here we go at YouTube. Create videos that showcase behind the scenes look. Okay, take a virtual tour of high-tech hub. This is pretty amazing. If I didn't know, if I was just this rich guy with a luxury mall, I might even not know. I might just subcontract this whole thing to someone who I think knows better. But what's happening here is that I am getting a whole lot of new power into my own hands. I'm able to think more. I'm able to look at new possibilities that I can understand at my level. In fact, you can even change the tone. Okay, you can say, talk to me like a 5-year-old, and the language will change, which is very, very interesting. Okay, take a look. Here's Instagram, here's LinkedIn. You can see, if you're seeing this scrolling by, you can see that the tone is changing. Okay, here we go. Instagram, dine in style at high-tech hub, exclusive restaurant. Okay, a picture of the mall's exclusive restaurant. So this is fantastic. I am now in charge of my own destiny, right? It's pretty cool, isn't it? So that is what it's doing. So now I'm saying, wow, man, I'm getting this. This is really going to make my life easy because I don't have to just look at one thing. I can control the entire value chain. So let's go back and find out now, what should I do next? Okay, I'm satisfied. I'm going to do all this stuff. What should I do next? Okay. Qualification, that's it. If you remember, most of us struggle with that. And I think, frankly, even though I've been in this business for a while, I can tell you, I'm not very good at qualifications. I'm not good. I get excited pretty fast and I say, wow, this must be good. So I need an objective friend or a colleague, maybe ChatGPT, to tell me how I should qualify my prospects. Okay, this is a very important part of the sales process. And I think some of us are good at it, some of us are not very good at it. So let me ask ChatGPT. Here we go. So we're asking ChatGPT, how should I qualify my prospects? Because now I know these prospects, I've made contact with them through social media. Here we go. So now it's telling me, when you read this, you'll say this is common sense. Yes, it is, but you didn't have it a moment ago. So now we know better that these are the 2 or 3 things that we need to do, and it helps us. It's like a nice, comforting checklist for us to handle and manage on our own. Let's take a look. Confirm they meet basic criteria, evaluate their business, verify their financial standing, check for compatibility, conduct a site visit, ask them to come and find out what's happening, negotiate lease terms. All these things are going to be part of your qualification process. By taking these steps, you can ensure that the potential tenant is a good fit for a luxury mall and has the potential to contribute to its success. So things are getting warm now. I'm feeling better and better that, okay, I've understood. This is, of course, again, some of you may have anecdotes that qualifications is not only this, it's also something else. I grant you, but I'm pretty sure that this is a good 90% of what you might want to do in qualification. I hope you agree with me. So let's move on and see, okay, now that it's there, okay, now I'm saying, okay, how do I determine the financial stability? Because that's important. Looks can be deceptive. They finally sign it and they don't pay the rent and so on. I'm going to be in big trouble. So qualification in particular with the financial stability is something, and I have no idea because, I'm just this, as I mentioned, I'm starting this mall. I wouldn't even know where to go. So maybe I will give this whole contract to a chartered accountant and hope for the best. But why should I? Is there something else I can do? Let's take this question. Let's ask. Remember, this is the same thread, a single thread formed starting about 20 minutes ago. So that's a pretty big deal. So let's ask. Okay, how do I determine the financial stability and reputation of these qualified prospects? So I'm reading this for you. Review financial documents. Okay. How many of us do that? I really wonder, right? We should be, but I'm pretty sure most of us don't because we have a great faith in our gut instinct. We often say, my gut feel is like this. I have a talent for sales. Sometimes we do that, right? Okay. So research the business history. Good. Check online. Okay. Talk to other business owners. So this is a process. Basically, it's telling you, if you do all this, and especially ask for references, then it's very likely that your tenant qualification will be of a high order. It may take time, but it's probably worth it. Again, please note, this is just me taking this whole process from end to end through the entire sales cycle. Okay, good. So I'm feeling better. But now this is giving me an idea. I'm thinking, what? This is fantastic. And suddenly have an idea can I make an app to generate, to help people determine the financial stability of my prospects? So take a look at the next slide. Here we are. This is interesting. And this is, one of the things about ChatGPT is it gives you new ideas for things that you didn't think of or didn't feel that you could do. Now I'm saying, okay, this is great. I have a cousin in, let's say, Vijayawada or Bhubaneswar. He's got a software company. I can ask him to write a little app to verify financial stability automatically. I mean, this maybe it's a nice little example. So I'm going to say, write a script in Python to use in an app. Okay, can ChatGPT write it for you? Let's find out. I'm just trying to be funny with ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is going to take me seriously. So let's find out. Write an automated process to verify financial stability. Write a script in Python. Here it is. This is the script in Python. Okay. So now all of a sudden, I'm also a pseudo software engineer, right? At a very high level. But I would make one point over here. I think you can see this. If you have a couple of minutes, if you read the script, the logic will hit you right away. Even if you don't know very much of programming, you'll understand it, you'll get the basic idea. Now, this is an important point I want to say, that for sales professionals, I think, frankly, it is going to be important for you to learn the basics of Python and JavaScript. This is my suggestion. The suggestion I have, you may not agree. I feel by learning this, you can do a lot of other automated stuff, right? In your Excel sheets, you can call certain programs, you can make it go to ChatGPT, pull it in, etc., etc. But that's a different story. Nevertheless, the point here is ChatGPT can generate code for you. And that's really a very big deal. So all of a sudden, I, as a very rich businessman in Hyderabad who was thinking of a luxury mall, have suddenly spread my tentacles into a whole lot of things, including a social media strategy, including a financial stability analysis, including the basics of software, design. Now, of course, these are really, examples, but I hope that I'm making the point to you that this is something pretty powerful. Okay, see, it gives you a lot of this information, right? Next, please. So now this makes me happy, because now I feel that I can actually be a software engineer. It makes me good. So I'm over there now. So I've done all this stuff. I've qualified a whole lot of possible prospects, and now I need to nurture the prospect. That is to say, keep the prospect warm, talk to them, find out what's happening, get close to them. Please notice the specifics of this question. How should I nurture a qualified prospect that happens to be a Scandinavian company like IKEA? So a lot of new information I'm giving it. So basically the output of ChatGPT is as good as the input. You have to learn how to ask questions very, very carefully. So let's ask ChatGPT this very strange question. Okay. I see some nice comments coming up. Thank you very much. Okay. So this is very, very interesting. All of a sudden, Scandinavian has been thrown into the whole conversation. So what happens over there? They say authenticity, honesty, transparency. I mean, I suppose others as well have it, right? So it talks about build a personal relationship, offer customized solutions, okay, share success stories, stay in touch, okay, take the time to understand the culture and values, okay. But you know what? I'm going to request my ChatGPT friend to give me another response. So please regenerate a response. Here we go. I'm regenerating. I just want some more ideas. What can ChatGPT give me something more? So this is interesting. Normally, for the same question from a system, you get the same answer, but that's not the case here. Yeah. So it talks about building a relationship. Okay. Though it says IKEA team, I said like IKEA, so it's taken it as IKEA, which is also fine. It's not a problem. Okay. Create a custom proposal. Exceptional customer service. So these are the kinds of things that you promise to start doing it. Okay. Help them to market and promote, etc., etc. So these are the suggestions ChatGPT has tuned to Scandinavian prospects. So this is good enough for me. I'll say, okay, I'll keep these things in mind. It's getting better. So it's teaching me. I'm learning along the way. As the mall owner, I'm also learning all these nice things which I didn't know I could do before. Next, please. Yeah. Now we get interesting. Yeah. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah. Okay. What are some ways in which I could present my offer to this qualified prospect in an innovative way? Previously, we were talking about nurturing, keeping them warm, having proper conversations, etc. Now we're going to finally say this is what we'd like to offer to you so that you can become one of our tenants, because we think it would be a good tenant. Let's ask ChatGPT. Notice the word innovative. I've deliberately put in the word innovative. So will it give me something which could be called innovative? Let's find out. Here we are. So it's giving me some interesting ideas. Okay, 3D visualization and virtual tours. Okay. host a VIP event, build a custom app, perhaps, to explore the mall. Very interesting. Yeah. I'm going to give you a couple of examples in just a moment to tell you how innovative it can be, and it will blow your mind. Use video marketing. Okay. Some very interesting ideas. All right. So it's giving me a whole lot of interesting ideas that I could do to make the offer to the client. Right. It's sounding very interesting. Yeah. Let's go to the next one. So we are moving along the cycle. Please remember we had this whole circle, the sales cycle. We are moving carefully, step by step. We're taking little examples. We're going one level below. Okay. So now let's find out, please. Now we have to think about the fact that I better think about, they are bound to say, oh, it's too expensive, or something is wrong. Obviously, that's the way always things are. So I'm going to say, what are the three most likely objections they might have, and how could I overcome them? So I'm asking them. And remember, it's part of the same thread. So the context is already set. There is some prior knowledge which ChatGPT is going to be constantly using. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Take a look. Cost. That's always going to happen. People are going to complain about costs, it's too expensive, etc., etc. So then I obviously have to have a counter for that. It says you can highlight the unique benefits and so on. Okay. Then they can talk about the competition in the area. Okay, they may have a problem with that. So you need to figure out how to do that. And the brand fit. They may be worried about how their brand fits with the other luxury brands in the mall, right? So I think a lot of intelligent responses have so far been given by ChatGPT up till this point. So things are going pretty well. So I'm getting equipped with more and more knowledge of everything that could be done from end to end, and at least certainly to this point. Next, please. So I have the three objections as well. I'm totally armed. After this, what do? Now we have to talk about closing the sales. Okay, what are three ways in which I could close a sale while making this qualified prospect from Scandinavia believe they have got a great deal? Now, all of you are sales professionals. You understand that the customer, the person you're selling to, must also feel that, yeah, I got a good deal. Yeah. So how do you do that? What exactly? Would you attend a seminar? Would you go for training? Well, maybe ChatGPT can give you some answers. Let's go ahead, please. Let's ask ChatGPT these questions. Okay, we're asking this. Remember, there's already a context, and it remembers everything that's been said thus far. Okay, so we say we can offer incentives. Fine. Okay, again, leverage social proof. All these ideas are being given to me as a person who 20 minutes ago, or probably half an hour ago, had no idea about what's to be done. I hope this point is coming across and making sense. Yeah. Provide a comprehensive package and so on and so forth. So these are some great ideas that have been given to me, and I'll say, wow, I can probably do something about it if I have the confidence, and I can drill one level deeper as well. Great. Wonderful. So I'm coming to this point. Next, please. So this is the way we close the sale. But can I do something more? Now we're going to make it, because along this way, while we were nurturing the client, we came to know a lot of things. Because as you know, in sales, it's about person-to-person chemistry. I think most of you believe that it's a person who sells from a person, and it's not company to company necessarily, right? So but at this time, I already found out that my prospect, Mr. Larson, is a Taurian. His wife is Leo, and he happens to believe in Vedic astrology and Ayurveda. Can we use this information in some clever way? And I'm sure all of you have little stories like that, right? You've used them to your advantage, though it sounds weird, but if we do that, because in sales, these kind of unusual things are leveraged. Next, please. So let's ask this question. So we're asking the content for an email. Take a look, please. There's a subject, it's telling you all the stuff, right? We only say, as a Taurian, you're known for a strong sense of determination and your love of luxury. Nice psychological play, right? We know you have a keen eye for the finer things in life. So we couldn't help but notice that the stars are aligned in your favor. All appropriate messaging, which is subtle, but this works. For some of us, it works. And some of us use these techniques to close sales. I certainly have. Some of you must have certainly done that, right? So here we go. As an Ayurveda believer, we understand the importance of seizing opportunities, etc., etc. And so there's a sense of urgency I've introduced in my email to close this sale through a nice, polite, professional email that actually makes sense. Wonderful. Next, please. So this is a very, very detailed thing, talking about all kinds of apparently unrelated matters, but which turns out it could be related. Let's find out. Next, please. So you can see that at this point, we have gone through the 7 parts of the cycle completely to different levels. In some cases, we have gone down to 1 or first or second level of detail, right? This, and then please remember, it's not just ChatGPT. There are other kinds of AI tools available. This particular tool, which I like to use sometimes, is called deepai.org. And I just put in, a luxury mall with trees inside. What kind of image would it have? So now I'm looking at that side. If to give it to perhaps to an architect of what kind of concept I have, maybe giving some pictures would also be helpful. So this is what the deepai.org gave me as a look and feel of what I have in mind. So there's some very powerful tools out there. I recommend you start exploring. You will find it. Let's take a look at this video. It's an AI generated video specifically for my Scandinavian client. I gave it very, very few inputs and it came out with this video on its own. Okay, I have not done anything else except 5 minutes of instruction. Go ahead, sir. Please run this video.
Welcome to High Tech City, Hyderabad, Mr. Larson. We are thrilled to have you here and we invite you to take a virtual tour of our luxurious mall. High Tech City, Hyderabad is one of the premier shopping and entertainment destinations in the country. With top-notch stores, dining, and entertainment options, there is something for everyone here. Our mall offers a host of amenities to make your experience here even more special. We are proud to offer our customers the most cutting-edge technology and equipment. Our mall is home to a wide range of modern facilities. From high-speed elevators and escalators to advanced security systems and interactive kiosks, we make sure to provide a safe and hassle-free shopping experience. We also have smart sensors and analytics to monitor our customers' movements and preferences throughout their stay.
So the question here is, if I were to receive such a very specific video just for me with my name and all these kinds of things, I think I'm pretty impressed. Someone's asked me what tool. There are plenty of tools over there, so I will certainly be glad to help you a little later. So yeah, you can see what's happened. I'm repeating this, but I think it doesn't hurt. I, as a person who just happens to be a rich guy, has taken, used AI to come to this level where I'm actually sending personalized emails, to personalized videos, like this. There's an avatar, there's a script, my name, it looks pretty realistic. And I think it's pretty impressive. Please continue.
Welcome.
No, that's okay. We can do the next one. So at this point, what I want to say is, right, a single person can create an entire strategy with sufficient details. This is an important thing I want to say, okay? Because now my overall time has been minimized. And I think there's a greater sense of control because the feeling that, no, I don't know this or I don't know how to do this about any aspect of the sales cycle, that has been reduced. Now I feel a greater sense of power. That's very, very important. And as I said, new ideas can emerge. As I showed you, we can actually say, okay, this might be something interesting for a new kind of app. And I actually generated a little bit of software code along the way just for fun. So that was very, very interesting. But the key obviously is you will get better at asking questions. Yeah, the manner in which you ask questions will give you the kinds of results. So that itself, frankly, is an important skill. Like when a doctor asks you questions, he or she asks you in a very specific way, which helps him or her to determine what your problem is. It's exactly the same here. Yeah, so you can control the process till practically the last mile with several tools. Certainly cost will come down drastically. Its impact on marketing and sales in terms of, let's say, manpower or the whole set of activities to be done is going to come down drastically. I think that's fairly intuitive. This image on the right hand side, you may think it has no meaning. I created it from deepai.org using a bunch of random text, and it gives you the results like this. So that was just another example of what you can do. Let's move on, please. Yeah. So though this is for the process, I still have 2 or 3 slides to talk to you about the roles. Okay. What I want to say is, let's not pretend that it cannot replace humans. Yes, of course, it can't replace at this very moment. It may not be able to do it for the next 5 years, 10 years. I really don't know. But that's because we believe that these things are not possible to do with the computer. Now, even 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when websites were being, becoming popular, I'm talking about, let's say, the late 90s, people used to say, websites, who cares? They're just brochures. Now, we can't manage without websites. So I would say, let's not be in denial, okay? Even though we have sophisticated reasons to believe it's not the same thing. Second, the process is going to be compressed, and you can actually do multiple threads running in parallel for your project. So timelines, project plans, whatever it is, can actually be done in parallel. Now, what you need to do is optimize your existing processes, because ChatGPT or AI tools can help you to do so, number one. Number two is, even if you are not in favor of this, or even if you don't feel convinced, I can say that competitors and customers will use these tools. For example, you can take a look at Mr. Larson in the previous case. He can say that, I will learn how to negotiate. Tell me how to negotiate with this luxury mall owner. So essentially, I'm saying that your ecosystem will all become AI enabled, excuse me. And if you are not, then who loses? Frankly, you. Okay, great. So, and ultimately, what I want to say, this is a productivity booster and can make you successful. There was a time when people were against computers. They used to say, why should we have computers? It's going to, take away jobs, etc., etc. Well, today we see that it's not the case at all. Things have moved up. And similarly, I feel it's the same argument that can be made for ChatGPT-like products. Next, please. Now, a brief discussion about sales roles. So what's going to happen to sales roles? Because we have a certain organizational structure in which we believe things should be done. So let me just share some views about 2 or 3 sales roles and the impact. Now, as I said, if you ask anyone today about will this replace the sales process, people will say, no, it can't be done. There's empathy, there's chemistry, there's all this stuff. No, machines cannot do it for us. And that's sounds good. That's why I've called it the politically correct answers. Yes, we are okay. It automates routine tasks. I think I saw someone giving a chat there that, you've been sending emails, etc., etc. Great. It does free up salespersons to focus on higher level tasks such as building relationships, which we believe is what makes us human. It is about our ability to connect with people and so on, negotiation and so on. So all this is sounding good. Okay, but then we say they can't completely replace human. Fine, if you feel so, I'm certainly that's great. And this is the point over here: the human touch and personal connection are still important in sales. This is the politically correct answer. When you say this, you sound balanced. You sound like you've thought about everything, and actually there's nothing specifically wrong with it. So we are saying empathy, creativity, and interpersonal skills. They will not be able to replace that. But my question to you is that so? Okay, really? So let's find out. Okay, now I want to talk about 2 or 3 scenarios. I'm sorry, this is a bit text heavy, but I think it will make the point well. Okay, you can train ChatGPT on the ERP products, okay, including its features, pricing, etc., etc. Then you can use it as a virtual sales representative. Now, whether you like it or not, the fact of the matter is, especially because of the pandemic, a whole lot of people seem to be preferring to interact with computer systems rather than human beings. I don't know what is your experience. This is my empirical experience as well. So now we see here that customers visiting the website are able to get things done faster, schedule demos, make purchases, because the chat bots are getting smarter and smarter. You can do all these kinds of things. Okay, so when you do this, you see that the conversion rates customer satisfaction, customer retention. Okay, you may see that the chatbot is doing really quite well. So you figure out, okay, do I really need all these people? Because I'm able to make these things do things faster through ChatGPT. In fact, I think already we see some banks are saying that, if you interact with us personally, you're going to have to pay for it. So that thinking has already come in. It may not be AI enabled, but the thinking has already come in. Please interact with us through computers and not person to person. So the thinking has come in. Next, please. In this scenario, it's fairly long. I won't go through the whole thing. We are talking about negotiation tactics. This person is Ravinder, a human being, presumably, and he is trying to negotiate with a chatbot, okay, and trying to figure it out. Is it actually possible? Okay, so we can see all these things. So even negotiation help on behalf of the customer or even behalf of you is possible through this. Okay, depend on what kind of questions you ask. So now we can therefore get into a science fiction mode. Next, please. Right. So let's talk about a few things first. So here is Vijay. Okay, he's a sales professional. He's been selling for 20 years. He's a legend. He gives talks, keynote addresses, all the stuff he's been doing. He's very, very, very good. And he feels he really has this intuitive ability to close deals, etc. But now, fast forward in the next 1 year, 1.5 years, he is going to find that colleagues will be using tools like AI, AI tools like ChatGPT, and they're going to have a better insights and they'll move deals faster than Vijay. So this human touch, which we make a lot of noise about, which I think, of course, is very important, maybe the impact of that is weakening just a little bit. So this can have an impact on Vijay in this specific case because he feels AI cannot replace me. So I would always say never say never. Okay, next please. Let's take one more look. What about a new salesperson? These people are much faster in figuring out new technologies. They can adapt to it faster. They really get it. If I was giving you a seminar or webinar on metaverse, I would be saying something similar with different examples. But that's what's happening with the new generation of people getting into, in sales or similar things. They understand this faster. They don't have baggage. So they're open to learning all these things. So she figures out how to make my life easier. She can do all this. She will learn Python. She'll learn JavaScript. She'll do ChatGPT and become this superwoman in terms of sales. Next, please. Here's a sales manager, right? And now for him, it's a question of managing sales professionals. It's just not only sales. He's only managing people who are doing sales. So this is what he needs to figure out. How does he improve the performance of his team? He's probably relying on older systems and prior knowledge. Well, all that's changed. Some of you may be knowing that Bing is has come out with a waiting list. I encourage all of you to get onto the waiting list. And in the browser, you will be able to actually get ChatGPT to function for you, whether it's in sales and so on. That's going to really make things very, very different. So if you want to avoid these things and say, it doesn't really matter, I can manage my team on its own, I think we are in for a big shock. Okay, because you choose not to use AI because you believe it cannot replace you. So I think that's not a very helpful attitude at this moment. Next, please. So coming to the last couple of slides over here. So certainly, I'm sure that most of you probably believe repetitive tasks, writing and delivering proposals, financing, closing, follow-up businesses can certainly happen to a great extent through tools like ChatGPT. Now, of course, this issue of empathy and negotiation, I will come to you in just a minute. I saw a comment pass by. I felt I should immediately address that. So the question was, what about language? I think language is actually not going to be such a huge challenge. If you have come this far, language is going to be fairly straightforward to be able to do these kinds of things. Okay, so let's talk about empathy and negotiation, because this is probably some place where most of us feel, we really are amazing at these kinds of things. Yeah, somebody's asking about Bing waiting list. I know that I shouldn't be answering this question. I'll answer it later. So let's talk about empathy and negotiation. So is this something that only we can do because we're human beings? Let's think about it. Okay, next please, next slide. I attended an incredible seminar a couple of days ago, right? And it talked about the fact that, even those things are going to be challenged, right? So basically, anything that we feel is not possible, I would say give it at least the benefit of doubt. Okay, we don't know that, maybe GPT-4 and beyond may head towards empathy in negotiation. So maybe a hologram can replace you and demonstrate the same empathy with the prospective customer. It could do that. It understands the tone of your voice, the kinds of way in which you construct sentences, the movement of your faces, your eyes. As many of you know, you can tell about a person by the way they have the movements of the muscles of their face. The way they turn to the left, the way they turn to the right, you can detect the person is either lying or there's something else going on which they don't want to disclose. You can find out those things pretty well, and most of us know it at an intuitive level. So the tools that we have are also capable of detecting that, and therefore they can respond in a similar way. Okay. So, and now, as I said, what about a situation where the customer and sales, both parties are AI driven? Now, that's an incredible scenario. That's an incredible scenario to envision. It may not be impossible. The whole thing may actually be happening. Okay, let's see. Then, and quantum computing, this is something you need to keep an eye out for. Please research it. It has a completely different scenario here. And this is about consciousness. So this was talked about in a very, very technical forum just the other day I was listening into. This thing which says that we are conscious. Yeah. Can machines replicate that consciousness? So there was talk about quantum computing potentially, possibly invoking consciousness in machines. It's debatable. It can be talked about. I'm not saying an expert, but I would recommend companies should also invest a little bit in finding out more about quantum computing. Believe it or not, it's happening in a very, very big way. Something to think about. Okay, new products with, and the thing is, even if you don't like any of this thing, let's say, for example, all this I've talked about has left you cold. The fact of the matter is, new products will soon start be AI enabled in various ways at two different levels. It doesn't have to be every product doesn't have to have chatbot, a chatbot, or it doesn't have to be ChatGPT enabled, right? So as salesperson, you should know about AI fundamentals for the products that you're planning to sell or the products that you're evaluating. You can't say it's none of my business, so to say. So these are certain thoughts. As I said, it's a frontier of some of the science fiction, maybe, but I think these things are accelerating towards us really, really fast. And specifically in the area of sales, it's important for us to think of it as a huge productivity tool and reorient the way we think about sales in every possible way. Maybe the organization structure, the kinds of things we use ChatGPT for, the possibilities are endless. Next, please. Okay, this particular twist is because, as I mentioned to you about 6 minutes ago, the metaverse is something that I'm very interested in. In the metaverse, people will show up as avatars. It's coming. All of this is coming. A lot of billions are being put into the metaverse, where people operate there. That's a different subject, no doubt. But if in the metaverse, AI tools like ChatGPT are also introduced, it's certainly going to be a huge, huge game changer. All these kinds of things are going to be happening. And I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Next, please. Okay. So bottom line, you have to learn, AI. ChatGPT was used as an example here to tell you, give an idea of what's going to come, the turbulence that's going to affect you. You may need to have new roles to manage AI integration in sales. So maybe a sales organization needs to be thinking of one or two new roles for, where people are AI experts and they bring it into their sales organization for you may need to create a completely new job description. Then I even imagine a sales manager, new role could be of multiple types of sales bots that sell, different products. Maybe those employees are actually sales bots. Who knows? Never say never. Okay. So next, please. So with that, I will, stop and take. I think I've already run out of time, but I would like to take a few questions if you have any. So this is me on LinkedIn, and if you'd like to connect with me, you're most welcome. Okay, and you're welcome to write this particular email. So are there any questions? Please send it to me. I'm waiting for the questions over here. Yes, there we go. Okay, the first question is, will ChatGPT evolve based on the conversation it has with participants? Yes, I think if you mean that there's a thread, yes, it keeps learning. So when I said 175 billion parameters, 1.5 trillion parameters, those are parameters that change their values constantly based on what they learn. So that's the quick answer. Okay, does ChatGPT take care of patent or copyright infringement? It certainly does. I can tell you that because well, I haven't tried it out, but I see there's a fairly straightforward thing that it will be doing, because as I mentioned to you earlier, I did ask ChatGPT to write an angry letter, and it said I will not do it. So there is some inbuilt sense of ethics, some things it will not do. But even that can change. We really don't know where that frontier is, right? We can't say. So, for example, hate speech is also not going to work. If you want to ask them to give you a, something hating someone or whatever, it will not give it to you. Certain things it won't do that. Okay, right. Next, please. Yeah, I mean, certainly the issue of cybersecurity, another huge issue. People in your, the question here is, what do you think about cybersecurity or compliance issues with ChatGPT? Certainly, it's something which is going to explode, right? People asking questions, getting information, and when you especially have your own corporate ChatGPT, like your own knowledge management system, you just don't know what's going to happen. So these are issues to really worry about. How the information, wrong information, can get into people's hands. I'm sure this is being thought about by OpenAI very well, but in my opinion, it's a very good question, and I feel the answers are being provided as we speak. Yeah, how ChatGPT written content affects the Google rankings? This question I think is premature. First of all, as I mentioned to you, the content right now is up to 2021. So, and then in something like Bing, right, the search engine for Microsoft, it's going to be giving you real-time information like Google. Of course, Bing is a search engine just like Google. And when it gives you an answer in a conversational format, it will also give you the links, specific links to where it inferred that information from, right? So maybe this question, maybe Google rankings, maybe it may not really make a huge difference now with whatever's happening, because especially if when Google also integrates its AI into this place, I'm not really sure. I think people prefer conversations rather than a whole bunch of links. Anyway, continue, please. Any other questions? Okay, this is a good question. Isn't ChatGPT going to kill learning and creativity? The very same question was asked when computers were around. I'm thinking many of you are probably much younger than I am, but I saw computers when they were card machines, monolithic code, and so on and so forth. But I think it's not the case. Based purely on Maslow's hierarchy, which some of you are familiar with, I think our appreciation of human existence, of the way we live as human beings, the meaning of life, those kinds of philosophical questions will actually become better. We will be able to find creative instincts that we don't want to do. We can handle it separately, but no. Now, as a simple example of why this will not die out, creativity will not die out, I will tell you, in 2013, at a Lit Fest that I had attended, literary festival, there was a whole lot of talk about e-books going to be replacing paper books, as in books, right? That didn't happen. Both of them coexist. So I think creativity through ChatGPT will exist, but the human mind at this stage wants to be creative, and it will draw its own boundaries and do its own creativity. It's nice to see something else do it, but there's something more beautiful about doing it yourself. So at this point, I think that is likely to happen. I want someone to tell me how we're doing time-wise. Yeah, we need to be careful sharing confidential information. Certainly, that is generally the case. Any other questions, please?
Request everybody to share your questions.
Yeah,
It'll help us understand more and learn more as well.
And you can certainly send these questions to Sales and Profit, and I will try my best to answer them one by one separately, because we're probably running out of time right now, right, Yash? How are we doing time-wise?
Yeah, we have a couple of minutes. We can,
Yeah, there's a question from, okay, there are quite a number of questions. Yeah, Bing waitlist. Somebody asked about Bing waitlist. You need to go to, Bing, and there's this the little thing where they say join the waitlist. Okay, and you can register, give an email, and it'll tell you that when it's ready, we will inform you. So yeah, you can do that fairly easily. Is chat, can it be integrated into the sales CRM? My quick answer is yes, and I'll tell you the reason why. It can be, but it probably is not a great idea at this time because the data is only up till 2021. That's why I said earlier that you need to learn about other scripting tools like Python and JavaScript, because you have something called ChatGPT APIs, application programming interfaces. When you do that, you can integrate that into various tools. Okay, right. So yeah, anything else? Any other questions? Lots of wonderful questions. I'm really sorry it's not going to be possible for me to answer all of them. I'm just trying my best given the paucity of time. I'm going to ask my friends at Sales and Profits if they have any other questions they'd like me to answer. Please collect all the questions that have been placed in the chat window. I will do my very best to answer them one by one. Do you suggest any online academy to learn AI which helps as a sales professional? Well, I don't think there is anything very specifically mentioned like this. Maybe this particular session that we have, maybe one small step in that direction. But maybe you should separate the two questions. The question is, do you suggest any online academy to learn AI which helps as a sales professional? So what I'm saying is, first, learn the basics of AI. There are many platforms in which you can understand this. Side by side, since you're taking so much time, I even recommend you learn the basics of quantum computing. Okay, since you asked that question. What, in my opinion, what will then happen is this new knowledge will open possibilities for you in the sales function, like what we have tried to do just now. We have done exactly the same thing. We have tried to do that. It's crystal ball gazing, but I think many of these predictions are probably quite accurate, in my opinion. You may disagree on some points, but by and large, I think it's correct. Anything else?
I think we can end the session, Vasu.
Okay, fantastic. So, I'm deeply, grateful to all of you for taking the time and trouble to attend. You have my LinkedIn, URL there. Please go ahead and connect with me. And if you have any questions, please send it to friends at Sales and Profit. I'd be glad to answer. Again, thank you so much for attending. Over to you, Yash.
Yeah, thank you, Vasu, for giving such an informative session. It was really helpful for a salesperson like me, and I hope it was helpful for the sales professionals as well. I would like to thank the audience for your patience and your interactions over the chat and asking so wonderful questions. And hopefully, we expect you to see in the future webinars that we have. And you can follow us on LinkedIn and get the updates when we have a next webinar and on what topics we'll be covering. Thank you so much, everybody.